So Hawthorn have made an official offer to Essendon for Zach Merrett. So this is according to Channel 9. So we're going to go through what that deal is. So the offer that Hawthorn have made is as follows. They have offered up pick 9, which is their first pick in this year's draft. Their first pick in next year's draft, so their 2026 round 1 pick. They've offered up a second round pick this year, and they've also offered up Henry Hustwaite. So I look at this deal, and personally, my personal view is we shouldn't take this deal. That's just my view. Maybe you guys might disagree, and that's fine. These things are all opinion in the end. But I think to get rid of Merrett, we kind of really need to wait for an offer that we can't refuse. Now, I've said it, and I'm on the record of saying it, I think we should get rid of Merrett now. I'm kind of ready in my mind for him to go. But obviously that doesn't mean at any price. At the end of the day, you still have to get something that we think is suitable. And at the end of the day as well, the ball is in our court. Remember, this is a contracted player. We are the senior party in this trade, not Hawthorn. We are the player with the contracted player that they want. So we need to wait for them to make an offer. Now, they have made an offer here, and some might like, look, it's not a bad offer. All right, it's not a bad offer. It's 2 first-round picks. But if you look at it a bit more closely, where is their 2026 first-round pick going to fall? Now, they could win the premiership next year for all we know. And they certainly would be up in the top 4, you would think, at the very least. And with NGAs and things like that attached to it, their pick next year, their 2026 first-round pick, is probably going to be somewhere in the low 20s, all right? And you certainly think it wouldn't be any better than 17 or 18 at an absolute minimum. My view is that Merrett's probably worth 2 first-round picks and a player somewhere in there. But the 2 first-round picks are 2 mid-range first-round picks. That's what I think. I think Merrett is probably worth, for instance, picks 9 and 10, right, ish, or picks 10 and 11, something like that. Because there are first-round picks and there are first-round picks. There's a big difference between pick 5 and pick 20, and both of those are essentially first-round picks. So when I look at that, I don't think that's going to get the deal done, and I don't think Essendon will take that deal. I still think Hawthorn, by tomorrow night, will need to have involved a third club in here some way, because I think the Bombers are not going to take that offer. I certainly wouldn't anyway. And you've got to remember, the ball is really in Hawthorn's court to make a better offer here. We are the senior party in this deal. And when I say senior party, I mean we are the player with the contracted player, and we are the club with the player that Hawthorn want. So it's really the onus is on them to make a deal that we can't refuse. Now, whilst I'm ready for Merrett to leave, I kind of hope he does. I'm not ready to accept that offer, to be perfectly honest. And if that means him staying, then so be it. And it might mean he does stay, and that might not be ideal for lots of people. Merrett, it will be difficult him walking back into the club if he does stay. And at this stage, as I'm narrating this video at around 3 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, that might be the case. But that might be what we have to accept, and that might not be ideal for everybody. But we can't accept unders in this. At the end of the day, we are the club that are waiting for an offer from Hawthorn to perhaps pair it with a third club to make an offer that we can look at and think, wow, that is something we can't knock back. Now, to me, when you get an offer that you can't refuse, you kind of know it instinctively. You look at it and you think, yep, they really want Merrett. I look at this offer and I'm thinking, not really. Not really. They're kind of putting the feelers out there. It's an official offer, but when I see that, I think, nah. It's 2 first-round picks, but that 2026 pick needs to be in the top 10. It doesn't have to be pick 4 or anything, but that 2026 pick needs to be pick 9 or 10 or something, and you can't guarantee that, of course, because you don't know where all the clubs are going to finish, unless you were going to take a gamble and you were going to partner it up with another club and somehow get Richmond's or North Melbourne's first round pick for next year and take the gamble that it's going to be in single digits somehow, if you could somehow swing that or get a third club involved. That's the only way I could really see that happening. So it's going to be interesting. But I'd like to know what you guys think. Should we take that offer? And that is the official offer that Hawthorn have made. They are offering pick 9, a 2026 round 1 pick, a second round pick, and Henry Hustwaite. And that's a second round pick this year. And I'm always a bit suspicious when they throw in a kind of fringe player, which is done really just to kind of sweeten the deal. I don't really care that much about Henry Hustwaite. I think he's okay. He's 21 years old, so that's good. I mean, he's got a long future ahead of him, you'd think, but he's not something that's going to move the needle, right? He's not. You wouldn't think he's going to turn into an A-grade player. I wouldn't imagine. I mean, he was rated Hawthorn's 25th best player this year, which is pretty low. He's not in their best 22. So they're just throwing around fringe players to kind of sweeten the deal, try to say, oh, here's a name, here's someone you might have heard of. I don't think that does it. I think you need another player in there. I think what I personally would like is 2 first-round picks and a first 22 player. And the reason you want a player in there is because with draft picks, as good as they might be, and picks 8 and 9 or picks 9 and 10 look great on paper if you can get that. But the reason you want a player with it is there's nothing guaranteed with draft picks. We saw this a few years ago when we had 3 top 10 picks, and we picked, Perkins, Cox, and Zach Reed. And for various reasons, none of those have worked out. Look, a couple of them still might, particularly Zach Reed, and obviously the jury's still out on Perkins. But there's nothing guaranteed with the top 10 selections, especially in what they say is a weaker draft. I think the draft is a bit stronger than what they say. I rate some of the prospects, particularly in the top 10. But there's still no guarantee with them, and we see that every year. Some players just end up not making it, and that's the case every single draft. So I would want a good player and a couple of draft picks. And it might mean that if you get a good player, those 2 draft picks might be picks 13 and 14. If it was just two first-round picks, 2 mid-range first-round picks, and without a player, it would have to be 2 very, very high first-round picks, something like pick 6 and 7 or something like that. I'd take picks 9 and 10 and a first 22 player. That's probably what I would accept from Hawthorn. It doesn't have to be an A-grader. Obviously, you'd love that. But it would have to be a player that they would miss. That would be the thing. And Essendon are going to have to only accept this if it's a deal that they can sell to their members. And I think that's what they're waiting for. That's what Andrew Welsh, I think, has basically said or implied in a lot of the things that I've heard him say in some of the interviews that he's done. I think that's the vibe I'm getting from Essendon, is Essendon can only accept this deal if it is a deal that they can write to us as Essendon members, and I'm assuming all of you are, if not members, Essendon supporters, and you can look at that and think, yeah, that's something I can sell to the Essendon supporters in the off-season. I don't think offering pick 9, pick 20-ish next year, a second-round pick this year, which is whatever, pick 30-something, whatever it is, and a player who's not even in their best 22, I don't think that's going to get it done from Hawthorn. So, it's an interesting offer, but look, I wouldn't be touching that personally. What would you guys do? Do you want Merrett to go so badly that you would take that? I want him to go. I'll just say that. I'm prepared for him to go, but I don't want him to go for unders, and I'm prepared, whilst I want him to go, and I've been on record of saying that, I'm prepared to keep him if it means the alternative is taking unders. I'm not going to give Hawthorn the satisfaction. I certainly wouldn't want Essendon to give Hawthorn the satisfaction of us taking unders just to get rid of a contracted captain. I'd be prepared to keep him, even though I would like to see him go in the end. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments what you think of this official offer from the Hawks. I'm going to leave it there. Please like and subscribe to this channel. Have a great day. And as always, go Bombers.